Those who do nothing are inviting shame as well as violence. Those who act boldly are recognizing right as well as reality.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? Back with another video. This video and then series of the next few videos are going to be showing you some of the parts that I just received in the mail for the AR and the installation process. I'm not an expert at this. I don't even have all the tools that I really need, so this isn't going to go perfect for me. But at least you guys will get an idea. I'm probably going to fuck my gun up along the way, to be quite honest. But I'll probably just have to replace parts, but who knows. But I want to keep making videos. I got a lot of new subscribers and I want to keep up with this. And I got the shit in, so I want to at least get the hang of swapping these parts out. Basically, the first part I'm going to put on, which this video is about, if you read the title and description, is an ambidextrous backplate sling mount. I ordered it off of the internet. Came in. I wanted a single point sling for a long time, and as you know, your rifles come with two sling mounts. Neither of them really good for a single point sling. It's pretty much a 2-point sling. I did want a single point sling. I got one of those, and it's a Koitac. It's Koitac, Koitac CQB single point rifle bungee sling. Was looking for it in ACU camo. I like the whole ACU gray camo, but it's got the release buckles there, adjustment buckle here, has another quick detach buckle here. It has a elastic shroud that goes over the actual attachment point. It has an HK sorry about that, HK style clasp there. It does have the quick detach there. Obviously I haven't put it on my rifle yet, but I did sling it around, and actually I didn't even have to do an adjustment. I still might adjust it once the rifle gets on there, because it will stretch out this bungee. But this bungee is very tight. I've tried some of the cheaper low-end ones and they're very loose. This one is very tight, so it'll give me the range of movement I need without just sagging. These are some pretty heavy-duty clips here. All the attachment points are really heavy. I like it. The spring retention in the connection is really tight. Very heavy gauge aircraft aluminum, and just very thick. I mean, for what I spent on this, it's equal, if not better, to the quality that I've seen in the higher end ones. These higher end ones can start at 40 and go up from there. This one, I believe, retails for 20 bucks. So all I can do is what I'm doing now, which is a basic overview from what I see. Without having used it, I can't really give you a review on it, just speaking on what it is from like a tabletop standpoint. But in order to mount that, I need one of these. Now, I know some of you saying, well, why an Ambi one? If you're right-handed, you just get this one. If you're left-handed, you get that one. So on and so forth. Well, the main reason, sorry for the dirt on my hands, I've been working all day. The main reason for the Ambi one is, well, two reasons. One, I know some people, if you're right-handed, you hook it to the left side. If you're left-handed, that's standard. Some people like to switch it off, depending on how the rifle sits on their body, depending on the accessories they have on, so on and so forth. So until you actually, put it through the motions of actually, slinging it up and, doing what you do with it. You really don't know. So I was told that until I've actually fired a sling mounted rifle to get the Ambi, just to be on the safe side. The other reason is, if for whatever reason I want to sell it as is with all my upgrades and my mods to it, you never know who's going to buy it. It's definitely an extra selling point or trade-in point or whatever to have an Ambi sling mount on the on your rifle. So that's the main two reasons. Also, I'd like to note that some wrenches to take off this castle nut right there in the back, and we'll go into detail, are better than others. Mine isn't top of the line, but it is decent. It's a pain in the ass. And before I fumbled on camera, I wanted to try to see if I could even get the fucking thing off without having to get a better wrench or take it to a gunsmith to loosen it or whatever. It's a pain in the ass. So when you see me take this one off, understand that I've already pre-loosened this, and that's why it's a little bit easier. So let me grab this wrench. This is the wrench I'm going to be using. It's a Tapco wrench. This one will deal with the castle nut in the back. This section here will work on your flash hider up there. Slips right around the square mount, and you can twist it off and take it off from there and replace it, or just to keep it off, or whatever you like. This one here, from my understanding, is two purposes for this. Again, I'm not an expert. If you know better, leave comments. I don't have a problem with that, but please don't talk shit about me. I'm not claiming to be an expert. I'm just making videos telling you what I know and what I've heard. And from what I've heard is this serves two purposes. It serves the same purpose of this for a smaller muzzle brake. You can actually slide it over and pop it off. And also, the way you're supposed to do this is lock this up in a vise with a vise block going up into the magazine well. Locks into place, stand it up, lock the block that's sticking out like a magazine into a vise so that it doesn't move. And when you torque it this way and this way, it'll stand still and give you that back pressure without you damaging your rifle. Hence why I might just damage my rifle today. Anyway, second reason I heard for this is a breacher bar and torque wrenches will fit into here. Torque breech, and you can fit it in here, and it, as many with torque wrench, once you set it to a certain amount of pounds, it'll turn until it hits that pounds, and then it'll just release itself, so you don't over torque your nut. I said nut. Anyway, let's get to the video before this gets too long, and let's get this going. First off, I'm going to, let's see, let's get this flipped around so I can see what's going on here. Okay, let's remove the lower from the upper, and set the lower aside. Then, a lot of guys will say take this off. You don't have to, if it makes it easier to work around. If this is in your way, is what I'm trying to say, then take it off. What I'd like to do first is depress this, your buffer spring. You got the buffer detent. I don't know if the camera's getting here. Hold on, let me adjust my viewfinder. You have a little detent right there. What you have to do is move your buffer spring out of the way, and then depress that detent down to get the buffer past it. Once you do that, you can just pull the buffer out and set that aside. Now there's other springs and little pieces, so you're really going to want to pay attention. I'll point them out, and hopefully I'll be able to do that before they go flying across the room. Now what you want to do is you want to take your castle nut wrench here, set it in there, and turn it to loosen it. Now once you get it loose, you want to loosen it. Keep loosening it, but you want to pay attention to the back plate that's already on there. Now with this back plate, there's a detent spring on this side. Let me see if I don't know if you're picking it up. That runs down this tube right here, and that's for your pin here that separates and holds the upper and the lower together. So as you loosen this castle nut, you want to keep back pressure down toward the lower. Hold it down while you loosen this up. Take this down. Hold. Remember, there's a spring in there. You want to lightly, gently remove that, and now you can see the spring makes its appearance right here. You don't want to lose that. You don't want to torque it. You don't want to bend it. So you take that detent spring right there, and you set that aside so you don't lose it. Now with that being done, now you have to remove your buffer tube. Now the problem is the detent pin here that was holding that buffer in, that's going to come flying out because this buffer tube, I don't know if you can see it, but the lip of the buffer tube is actually resting on the lip of that. If you pull this buffer tube out, that's going to go flying. So what you want to do is you want to hold down on the detent spring and start rotating your buffer tube out. It will release the detent pin. You pull it out along with the spring. Keep the spring in there. And you set these aside. Now it's real basic from there. You just want to remove the buffer tube completely. Set your lower aside. Take off this back plate here, the original plate that came with it. Now there's two things to notice. One, there's that little nipple right there. That's gonna slide into this ridge right here. It's gonna ride in that rail right there. Also, if you notice when you take it off, you see this oval shape right here. One side, where is it? One side is dented in, the other side is dented out. The dented outside has to go toward the receiver. The dented inside, you could get a better shot there. The dented in part goes toward your buttstock. So when you replace it, you have to put it on the same way. Take this off, set it aside. Now, dented inside toward the buttstock, dented outside, pushed out. That bubble nipple there has to go out. As you see, it also has a nipple here. You want to get that in that rail and slide it back. Now it's in there, it's locked on the tube. Now, what you do from there is essentially line up your threads. You don't want to cross thread it, and start putting the lower back in. Okay, now when it starts to get close to that round hole that the detent sat in, that one there, you got to make sure that you don't go too far because the detent has to go back in there. So what you do is you place the spring in the detent with the nipple facing up, back in there, turn it around, and then start screwing it on. Don't screw it on far, just screw it on to where it grabs. A lot of times if you have a highly used AR, you'll see a marking on your buffer tube, so you can kind of line it back up. But basically, mine has a scar on it from that buffer detent, so I'm just going to go ahead and line that up. So that's set there. Try not to move it too much at this point. Now, what you want to do is you want to go back and get your detent spring for this pin. this is where it gets a little tricky, because what you got to do is, hold on, let's see if the camera can get this, and if I can get my viewfinder to focus in on this. There is a hole right there. This spring has to go into that hole. Now it's not going to go all the way. It's going to stick out about that much, if you could see. You know what I mean? It sticks out a good amount. What you want to do is not bend it. You want to keep it as straight as possible and wiggle, 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 wiggle. Wiggle your plate up. Okay, sorry about that cutaway. I didn't take into consideration that the new plate sits lower. If you look, the old plate stops there and the old plate comes down lower. I did not take into consideration that I bought this upgraded pistol grip, and that the beaver tail webbing, whatever you want to call it, came very far back, and it actually came underneath this one. So I had to take some of this material off to make sure that the plate sat flush so I wouldn't have a problem. And as you can see, now the plate does sit flush. The problem was I didn't have a Dremel, so I had to do it by hand with a file. I can clean it up when I get my Dremel back. It's out on loan right now, and when I get my Dremel, I'll be able to clean up the edges, make it look a little prettier. But for now, it'll serve its purpose. Okay, sorry about this. I'm really trying to keep the video as short as possible, and it's already too long. Basically, I just followed the steps that I gave you. Make sure that your detent spring isn't straight. Push the plate down. Then what you want to do is tighten this castle nut by hand to get it to stay into place. So that's what I did. So now it's in place. Now all you have to do is tighten your castle nut. Now a lot of guys will say, you know, add a little Loctite to make sure it doesn't come loose or whatever. I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm going to go out to the range next week and do some shooting after the range. If it feels loose, I'll completely unloosen it, put some Loctite, and then torque it back down. But for now, I think that it should have enough of a hold where it shouldn't be an issue. But the only way you'll be able to really tell is to take it out to range, shoot it, and to see how the recoil affects your castle nut. It's on there good. The plate is nice and tight. Pistol grip is good. And that's what it looks like from the back. So I have sling attachments from both sides. Let's get her back together. What you want to do is just drop your buffer tube in like normal. Drop it in there. Let's get the old lady back together, shall we? Oh, forgot the pins went back in. Well, guess that detent spring's working pretty good on this pin. Might be a little too good, but hey, better to be too tight than too loose. That's what she said. Go ahead, pop your pins back in, and go ahead and pop your pins back in. There we go. And that's what she looks like with that sling plate on the back there. So yeah, now you grab your single point sling attachment, left side for righties, boom, and it's on there. And it's not going anywhere. So let's move the camera here. See what she looks like with the single point sling on her. And this is what over one shoulder. There you go. I might make it a little tighter. I like when the rifle sits a little higher, so I'll probably just adjust this, make it a little bit snugger. adjusted. I'm glad I'm having a hard time adjusting this, because that means that this is as well constructed as I was hoping. And let's get her back on here. There we go. See, that's good for me. That's good. And the weight will bungee down, but it doesn't sag and droop, so it sits right there. Let's see. Let's drop this camera down a bit. As you can see, it's right here. You know what I mean? So, of course, you wouldn't do it down here, but that's where my camera is. But yeah, quick acquisition. It's been apart, so you know that it's clear, and who else am I going to shoot besides my camera? Then I can't make my shitty videos no more, and a lot of you will be happy. But yeah. So, yeah, she sits there in the middle of your chest, and I'm right on point. Plus, when I'm at the range and I have to clear a malfunction, or I'm loading mags, instead of putting it down on the table, picking it up, putting it down on the table, picking it up. And if, you know, I just don't want the sling anymore, instead of just taking the whole thing off, I can leave the sling on, hit this quick detach here, and then put her down, you know. So yeah, that's the sling plate mount installation with the single point sling attached. So sorry that the video took so long, sorry about the cutaways, but there you have it. That's how you install a back plate for your AR, whether it's a sling mount or single point, ambi, whatever. It's always going to go the same. If you just want to replace your back plate for whatever reason, that's how you do it. Again, sorry for the long video, sorry for the cutaways, but thanks for watching. Thanks to all my subscribers. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. And I actually have a giveaway going on right now, so guys, if you're interested, check that out. And thanks for watching. Have a good day, guys.